Hello there, film friends, movie maniacs, and cinema sickos. This is More Movies Weekly, number 43.
I myself am sitting pretty on 43.
This is the podcast where we like to talk about films, cinema, movies, all that sort of stuff. My name is Greg Fisher. His name is David Roberts. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. So, West Side Story, it's a classic. 1961, they made a movie of it, an adaptation of the stage musical. It's been a classic ever since. People still love it today. It's never really aged in that sense as being a classic. But good old Steven Spielberg's come along and remade it. Much to the chagrin of some people, I might add. I've seen a lot of reaction online over the last few months, even before it was released, saying, what's the point? Why remake it? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever.
Whatever.
We were excited to see it. We reacted to the trailer for it when that came out, and we were very excited by that. But then we had to wait some time. We didn't get a chance to see it in the theater before Christmas when it came out. So we actually seen it at home viewing in the end. But I just sat really close to the telly, so it felt like I was on something. And yeah, there we go. It's been remade. We've seen it now. And where shall we start, David?
Well, we'll probably start as well with just mentioning it came out before Christmas, and it was it came out at an interesting time because the cinemas were quite busy with things like Spider-Man. And so it really actually ended up being a box office bomb. It only took 74 million against a 100 million budget. So
it's a flop. It's a Spielberg flop.
I'm suffering. We're suffering. Cancel my day.
It is rare for the man to have a flop.
That's it.
Especially with something like this that adds so much attention and is so universally popular as a kind of a thing in itself, as a property.
And for a film that is like so widely nominated as well. It's been at the time it was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. It's been nominated in the BAFTAs and the Golden Globes and all these other awards.
I think it's actually won some by now as well.
It has indeed.
I know Ariana DeBose has won a couple of awards for her performance.
Yeah, she won the SAG for Female Actor in a Supporting Role. Actually, the first Afro-Latina and openly queer woman to win that particular award, which is really big. She's won like the Golden Globe as well and the BAFTA, all for supporting actress and a few of the other ones. So it's picked up big nominations in that area.
Yeah.
And of course, it's still up for the Oscars, which is imminent as well.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's familiar with the West Side Story will kind of already know it. It's not like they've changed much here. They haven't even like modernized it, which is probably a good thing, And when I say modernized, I mean, put it in a contemporary setting. So it's like modern day New York and that. They've actually took it back and it's based in the 50s, which is when the original stage musical was brought together and released. There's that side of it that, kind of adds to that argument of why remake it? Why now?
They did move some stuff around, though. The song order more closely matched the original stage version. All the versions have changed, even the stage versions, to be honest, reading up, each time they did it, it changed the order of certain things and moved things around. So it's always been moving. But this probably has most closely matched the original theatre production.
I imagine, even though I'm not too sure, but I imagine that's kind of a common thing with some musicals that different directors just choose to move things around a little to better suit their own vision and production. So, no surprise there in that sense. No. But what I mean is that, Spielberg hasn't chosen to completely change everything about it. He's stayed quite faithful in some senses.
Yes.
Obviously, the setting being one of them. But what I'm getting at is most people will know the story. It's the old Romeo and Juliet story. Whether they're familiar with it through the stage performance or as with like ourselves and most people, just through the 1961 film, the classic. they know what's going to happen. There's nothing we could say here really that's going to spoil that side of it for those that haven't seen it yet. So we've got Ansel Elgort as Tony and Rachel Zegler as Maria. So they're the two star-crossed lovers from different side of the tracks that end up falling for one another, and it's a forbidden love, etc., blah, blah, blah. Add in some songs, add in some dance, add in some fantastic cinematography, and we've got ourselves a Steven Spielberg film. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What did you think of this particular version, Dave?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it looked... I loved the visual style he went for. It was almost like a hyper-realism he'd gone for. Really high contrast, saturation. Everything had this tone to it, which I thought just looked stunning, and really suited the genre. It was like, if you're going to do this kind of retro musical, it kind of made sense. It to be honest, gave me a little bit of the vibes of something like Grease, in the way, kind of overdoing the retro in a way. But it to me, it looked great for that, and it really, really worked. I love the fact that it was kept pretty much the same, but every now and then, you say, there was tweaks and things were moved around and characters merged and new characters forged off and stuff, which was really fun. I thought the cast was brilliant. I thought that they did a great job of the casting. Everyone was fantastic, and everyone's vocals were sublime. And so, yeah, I really had fun watching it. I really enjoyed it.
So how do you think it measures up to the original, even though some people probably consider it a bit of a useless exercise to compare and contrast? We do not.
It's an interesting one because obviously the original is an absolute classic. It is a masterpiece, and it in some ways it's fair to compare. They are the same thing, and in some ways it's kind of not. I don't think anything is ever going to overtake the original, and having that expectation is a bit maybe foolish, although people will. But I thought, interestingly, some things this film did better than the original, and some things it really doesn't. And I think that would be the same for everyone, and that's just a matter of taste. Certain things you'll go, oh, that was really cool. That wasn't like that in the original, but then other things you'll go, oh, why did they change that? And it's always going to be that way, I think. So, yeah, it's kind of in the middle. A bit of both. What did you think?
I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I'll get that out of the way and say it straight away. It was excellent for all the reasons you've just said. I totally agree with you, and especially when you said the things it did different, it did really well. There were one or two scenes in there that just don't appear in the original film, whether they did in the musical or not, or different versions of the musical, I can't say, but I'm thinking in particular that scene, for example, where Tony wants to take the gun off Riff, and they have that whole boy, crazy, and they do it in that, I suppose it's like a shell of an old building that's falling apart down there on the, on the waterfront, like the docklands. And I thought that was an excellent scene, really, really cool. I think the problem I had straight away, the intro to the original film, once you get past the overture that it does at the start, and it's basically zooming in on Manhattan. And then when we get into the neighborhood, you've got this whole thing between Bernardo, the leader of the Sharks, played by George Chakiris there, and the Jets, and there's this kind of a cat and mouse thing going on throughout the neighborhood, and that's interspersed with dance as well as the music, and it very much sells that idea of jets and sharks. And the intro to the Spielberg film didn't do that for me. It was not that I wanted it to be the same, because then it would just be a remake of the 1961 film.
Yeah.
And of course you don't want that. But I felt like they were holding back on certain elements of it. And one of the main things there was the dance. So in the original film, there's this incorporation of that dance is very much a part of the film. Whereas in the new film, I felt, especially for that first 5 or 10 minutes, they were almost holding themselves back from doing that for the sake of not emulating the first movie, the original movie. And it's almost like, we'll put a little spin here or a little, high kick here and there just to show that, it's a little tribute to the original, but we're going to do something different here. It's more grounded in a realism. And, it's after like 5 minutes, you've had all these characters and then suddenly the police are in on them and you get this whole exposition about who they are and why they hate each other, etc. And it just felt like, bang, that's it. That's it. You're straight in and there we are. Whereas in the original film, there's a whole sequence that, for me, I just find amazing dancing and amazing use of the sets and how to get that message across about gang warfare, but doing it through dance and doing it through the music that I found missing immediately from the new version. So straight away, I thought, that kind of feeling of, okay. It's one thing to do something differently and really do something different. You think, wow, this is completely, something else. But I felt like they were kind of trying to honor the legacy, but at the same time brushing it under the carpet a little bit or under the rubble a little bit as well. So there was those sort of elements to it that I kind of was a bit disappointed with. And I also found it to be, some of it to be very Disney-fied. If you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
That I just found a little bit garish. For example, in the original film, the I Like to Be in America song is all done on a rooftop between the boys and the girls, and there's kind of a back and two over it all. Works really well, really funny. In this one, it was, we're moving through the streets, we're doing one of our famous Spielberg backward tracking wanners that, and people are just coming in with their lines, and I just thought, it's entertaining, it's fine, it is good. But in my mind, comparing it to the original, it doesn't even come close. It's like there's just not that rapport between them for me personally. For me,
yeah.
So in lots of ways there throughout it, I was kind of a little bit disappointed in that side of it.
The American performance I really enjoyed in this one, although I love the original. I thought this one was a really nice, interesting way to take it, and I think the thing I saw about it was, I think the original is very theatrical.
Yeah.
It's more like the stage play.
Yeah.
It's more to one place, like a lot of musicals of that time. And I like their musicals and that style. But I guess this was more cinematic. And it was taking advantage of the opportunity of you can move around a bit. And I thought it worked quite well in that scene. But I know what you mean about it being kind of Disney-fied, because there's moments where it's a bit too glossy and it's a bit odd. The scene I hated the most out of the entire film was in the local dance where they all get together. It's supposed to be the community bit called together. Yeah. When they first meet, and Tony and Maria first meet
behind the bleachers.
Bleachers, yeah. That was the oddest scene. The look of it, the sound of it was just like hideous. I don't know what was going on.
I thought the way she kissed him after she'd only clapped eyes on him 2 minutes before, and then she lunges in to kiss him. I thought it was kind of like, really? Would you do that if you were just some young innocent girl like this? Seemed a bit out of character for Maria. She's supposed to be, in a sense, the Maria. She's the kind of pure
sensible
one, the white dress. Yeah. She's. And that side of a character, I didn't buy that. I thought there's other ways to portray this kind of feeling of young love that's sort of bubbling up in them both without going that far. I thought it seems a bit rushed. It seems a bit unbelievable in that sense.
I think also like in I also hate that scene because the sound mix in the actual dance section. From the band that's played on stage is horrendous.
All right.
I really didn't like it. It was really muddy, really messed. You can't hear it properly. So I don't know what was going on there. It seemed very strange in such a good movie.
Yeah.
With a good production behind it, that it would be so bad in that section. So I don't know what the thought process. But there's things that, particular things I really loved. I thought the A Boy Like That I Have Loved duet between Anita and Maria was the best thing in the film. The vocal performances there were just absolutely special. And I loved Valentina, which was played by Rita Moreno, who originally played Doc.
Now there's a connection to the
original film. Yeah.
She didn't originally play Doc. She originally played Anita. She's like an amalgamation of the Doc character, I think, in this one.
That's it.
She was brilliant, though. She was brilliant in this. I really enjoyed her performance as well. And there's the connection to the old film as well. They brought in one of the old stars as a kind of legacy sort of tribute. And she was brilliant in it. She was very good, especially in that scene where Anita comes to Doc's to the place, and she gets basically accosted by all the jets. Quite a powerful scene, really well done.
That was the scene I was going to mention. It's so powerful, isn't it? And moving and realistic, and kind of just something that the original couldn't really do at that time.
I think that exactly. The threat was there in the original one, but they couldn't go as far as they did.
Exactly.
Like as they can now in this one, which was great. It showed that final nail in the coffin for the Jets. They sunk that low, and she says something. You become rapists. Yeah, and then they start to leave. One by one. That's it. It's over. I thought the ending was very good as well. It actually got me at the end. I thought it was a very clever way to do it.
The emotional punch was
with Chino out there looking for him. It delivered in that sense. Her running up the street with a briefcase, with a suitcase, and him realizing she's still alive, and he's been shouting to Chino to kill him and then the timing of it. It was very cleverly put together. It's on Disney Plus now for people to see. I don't know what the stats are there. Maybe it's had a hell of a lot of plays, and the reactions online seem to be generally quite positive to it. But for me, it was an enjoyable one, and I will return to it and watch it again. But Desert Island wise, if somebody said, pick one or the other to take with you, I'm keeping hold of the original.
Yeah.
No, hands down.
I'd probably agree. I probably would take the original with me because it is a great film. But I think that the two biggest strengths of this film over the original, I would say, are emotional impact and character performance. And they're the two things that Spielberg, for me, does best in all of his films. Yeah. He is the best at pulling it out.
Yeah.
So that's where it is better. But the original is still so great. Yes, I would pick that over in a desperate situation. But I think there's some great merits in the new one.
Take it, why don't you?
Well, there we go. That's our thoughts on West Side Story after a long time. But there we go. We've seen it now. I will watch it again. And I did enjoy it to a certain degree, but not as much as I thought I was going to.
Okay, so in some movie news this week, how much has it cost us to save Matt Damon, Greg?
Personally speaking, not much.
Matt Damon.
Basically, people were just asking how much it's basically cost
Hollywood
or filmmakers or whatever to save Matt Damon repeatedly throughout his acting career. Now, if we just go by movie budgets,
when you say save him, you mean like characters that he's played? He's literally saving from danger.
That's it. So we think of things like
The Martian. I was thinking,
yeah.
That alone's got to cost a few quid.
Well, that's it. I mean, if we just go from the movie budget itself, it's apparently about $729 million
to save Matt Damon.
To save Matt Damon, and the films we're talking here: Courage Under Fire, Saving Private Ryan, Titan AE, Syriana, Green Zone, Elysium, Interstellar, and The Martian. They're the films we're talking about. But someone's done a little bit of research into this, and they've added up how much it costs based on the fictional costs within
brilliant.
the actual films.
That's why I said about The Martian. Just that alone's got to cost billions.
So apparently that Mars mission in The Martian cost $200 billion.
It's quite cheap, really, considering.
So they've added up some different ones here. Interstellar, the spaceship to go and get him in, that was $500 billion.
Not worth it in that as well, because he was a piece of shit.
He was not.
At least in The Martian, he was a nice guy, and you want to save him. But in Interstellar, he was horrible, wasn't he? He was like he turned on him, didn't he?
I knew that if I just pressed that button, and somebody would come and save me.
Elysium, $100 million for a space station security deployment.
That's a good film, that.
Green Zone, US Army transport from the Middle East, is about $50,000.
Cheap. That was a cheap fix.
Syriana, another $50,000. Middle East private security return flight.
Again, cheap.
Very cheap. Titan AE, Earth evacuation spaceship, that's $200 billion.
Now we're talking. Now we're back in Martian territory there. I haven't actually seen that film, but...
We got Courage Under Fire. It's a Gulf War One.
I remember
helicopter rescue.
It's a long time ago.
300,000.
It's fairly cheap. I think all the ones that sort of off-world are the ones that are costing the most money.
That's it.
So if Matt Damon would only stay on planet Earth,
that's it. Stay here. It's fine.
He could save us a lot of money, you know.
And then Save It Private Ryan, it's a World War II gear-up search party. Of course, Tom Hanks led. That's the most expensive part of it. But $100,000. But I did a little bit of kind of comparison on that. I thought, well, what's $100,000? That's World War II. I looked up and did a bit of an inflation cost on that. I mean, today it's $1.6 million.
So it's quite a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, there's probably there might be more films.
Sure,
but his movie gross takings so far are $2.7 billion at the box office. So he's only recouped about 40% of the cheapest proposed trip to Mars. So he needs to do some more work, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Personally, I would just leave him there.
Yeah, it's quite an expensive operation to go and save him.
He's got some potatoes. He can make some mash up there on Mars. He's all right.
And he's had a good run.
Yeah, exactly. You can't complain.
Matt Damon!
And he was even asked about it on the morning program in America, and he was asked about this very thing, and he had quite a funny reaction to it.
Finally, The Martian, $200 billion. Matt, this puts the cost of your rescues near $1 trillion.
But I'm not there yet, right?
No, you're knocking on the door.
So, in other big movie news this week, we mentioned this a few episodes back, a few months back, here on the weekly show. It was brought up about Amazon proposing to buy MGM.
Yeah.
The deal has now gone through. It's been approved by the European Union and other parties involved in terms of competition laws and stuff like that. It's been approved. It's gone through. $8.5 billion.
Wow. Is that enough to rescue Matt Damon?
It might be enough to pay for another 40% of the cheapest trip. It's not quite as much as Disney paid for 20th Century Fox in 2019. They paid $71.3 billion.
That's a considerable amount more.
It's a lot of money. What are you doing?
But I guess Fox has got a way bigger library.
How much did Lucas sell Lucasfilm to Disney for? Was it $4 billion?
Something like that, yeah, about $4 or $5 billion.
And
I guess with those,
that's good considering he's just got, it's just Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and a few other bits and bobs, but
yeah, it's not.
It's not like a huge catalog like MGM's got a whole legacy of cinema behind it.
Well, that's it, and I think it's literally down on these things because these are being brought up by people who are running streaming platforms, so it's content. They're buying content.
That's what I was going to ask. How does this literally affect us as consumers? How does that translate? Are we going to be seeing a lot more of this stuff on Amazon's platform?
Yeah, they've bought 4,000 films and about 17,000 episodes of television is included in MGM's catalogue, roughly speaking. And this obviously includes things like the James Bond and the Rocky franchises are probably the big tent poles of this.
Okay.
There's no specific details yet on what they're going to do with it, but you could very well expect that this is primarily to put onto the Prime video platform. We then take it a step further, and are they going to develop spin-off series like we've talked about before with James Bond? Are they, going to use some of the properties they got here to create like all the others, like Star Wars has done on Disney and stuff like that, So it would not be surprising if they take that approach. We've seen other big players in the game do it.
So you could have like Rocky's Gym.
That's it. Rocky's Gym reality TV on Amazon, as well as the Rocky drama series and a late night Rocky animated Adult Swim style cartoon. It's all possible. But there's loads of stuff in there. Classic movies like 12 Angry Men, Silence of the Lambs and RoboCop. They're all MGM properties. And, TV shows like Fargo and The Handmaid's Tale. They're the kind of properties MGM owned. So I would expect they'll appear on Prime within the next 12, 18 months, I would reckon.
Yeah, I suppose they'll want to get them up as soon as possible because once you've done the deal and everything's been signed and processed, you want it up on the platforms as soon as possible to start recouping some of that money.
The only thing that could hold them back would be any existing contracts.
Yeah.
And I got a contract that represents an investment of capital.
So big investment from Amazon in the game, really.
Yeah. Massive investment. So, it's good for Amazon Prime customers.
As they do on Amazon.com.
Some people consider it to be one of the most evil big companies there is out there, with Bezos spending all this cash on shooting himself and William Shatner into space instead of, doing something about world hunger or anything good like that.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Woe betide these people actually do anything philanthropic with their money, instead of self-indulgent trips to Mars to save Matt Damon. They don't even save Matt Damon from...
They even save Matt Damon. What a bastard.
What an asshole.
I always thought that Matt Damon was like a Streisand,
But yeah, certainly good, in terms of having more content on Amazon because they've got to compete with Disney now, who's got so much stuff, and obviously Netflix is the wild card in it all.
You want to Netflix something?
Yeah, interesting though. 8.5 billion, not enough to save Matt Damon, but it's enough to save MGM's properties and keep them under people's noses. What's the other option? They have to start their own platform. And they probably haven't got enough of a back catalogue to compete with stuff like Netflix and Disney.
Yeah, and we've just seen this with Paramount have launched their own one and a couple of others. And they haven't got enough shit, basically. And it's another service you've got to buy, which is...
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We're with Paramount Pictures shooting the new Hugh Grant film.
That just leaves us with enough time to tell you about what else we've been up to on the internet this week. We have a review for Belfast on the channel that I just put up. Kenneth Branagh's film about based on his upbringing in the Northern Irish capital there, Belfast. So if you want to see my review on the channel here, there's a link in the description below.
Yeah, excellent review there, Greg. We've also got a reaction to The Phantom of the Open trailer. It's a new film that's out now. We reacted to the trailer right here on the channel. Link will be in the description down below.
We also have a new article up on the website at moremovies.co.uk. This is our Oscars predictions article. Obviously, it's the Academy Awards ceremony this weekend. So if you want to see what myself and Dave predict is going to win, then check out that article. Again, link is in the description below.
And if you want to listen to us in audio-only format, maybe you're going for a walk or you're cooking something up and you want to listen to us there, you can check us out on all the major podcast platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. We'll have a link down in the description below with all the details.
And come and join us on social media and have some live chat with us. We are at More Movies For You across the board. We also have a Discord server if you want to come and have a chat with us over there. All these links, again, are in the description below. And if you really like what we do here and you want to support us, you could buy us a coffee over at buymeacoffee.com, or you could become a pledge over at patreon.com, where we have a couple of different packages, and it really helps us to keep the channel going, keeps us talking about movies, keeps the whole More Movies empire ticking. Thank you very much to all our supporters thus far for your support. We really do appreciate it. Thanks very much, guys. And that's it. Yeah, there we go, Dave. There's number 43, all wrapped up in a nice little bow and put out there on the internet. How do you feel?
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Fabulous. That's all that matters, my friend.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Join us again for another More Movies weekly episode. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel here so you don't miss a trick when we're bringing out videos. We also have our More Movies Reacts videos that come out every week and our reviews here on the channel. If you're listening on our audio only, thanks very much for listening. Join us again next week. And until then, as we say, keep watching more movies.
That's it for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. For more film reviews and articles, check out our website moremovies.co.uk. And join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all across the board. You know the score. If you enjoy what we do, please consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com or join us on one of our packages on Patreon. The links are in the description down below. And for more filmtastic content, click one of the buttons on screen now.